Cool. We good?
Yeah.
Excellent. Hi guys, welcome in at PaintTech. And this evening, I'm having a little bit of a chat with the infamous, if not famous, Mr. Trevor McMillan. Say hi, Trev.
Oh, yeah.
How are we doing? So Trevor, let's just start at the beginning, I would imagine. What I wanted to try and do was, I suppose, get a bit of backstory for those people that some of the guys know you. You've got a hell of a presence within the spraying community now, become a bit of a self-authority, which is really cool. So if you were, what's your background, Trev? I mean, have you always been a decorator? How did this journey start?
So I've been running my business now for 12 years. But previous to that, I was in the Air Force. I've done 12 years in the Air Force. I came out of the Air Force and, well, previous to that even, my dad was a decorator. He taught me. And then I joined the Air Force. I sort of done little bits of decorating here and there to keep my hand in, as it were. And then left the Air Force and done a few engineering jobs because engineering was my background within the Air Force. And all the while, my dad was on my back, go on your own, Trev, do you get a business? And I wasn't brave enough, if I was honest.
Right.
But I worked for one company, an engineering company, small family-run company, and to put it bluntly, the boss was terrible. He couldn't run the company very well. And I thought, well, he's running the company, or he thinks he is. So if he can do it, I can do it. So I left and I started my own decorating business, and the rest is history.
Cool. One thing I didn't know, and I've known you for quite a few years now, was that you actually come from a decorating background. That I didn't know. So when you started out and obviously left the RAF and focused on, I suppose your own business, like you said, 12 years ago, what kind of work were you doing? What would you class yourself as, from a decorating standpoint? What was the kind of work you were doing?
Just domestic. That is it. Just traditional general decorating, nothing special. My dad was very much a general decorator. He didn't specialize in anything at all. So I took that route as well. Just literally brush and roll. That was it. So yeah, nothing elaborate, nothing special. Just your standard decorator, really.
What was I suppose the bit you really liked? What was it that you liked about being a decorator, and what was the bit you I suppose didn't really like being a decorator? What was the best bit and what was the worst bit, let's say?
Well, the best bit was and still is the end result. We are creative, and it's just seeing the end result and seeing the client's reaction as well. Once you've finished, they say to you, I want my room blue, I want my room, and you do what they ask, but you do it with a little bit of flair, shall we say.
Yeah.
And you add your little touch, and seeing their reaction at the end of it is always good.
Like you said, being a creative nature, I came into the business as a creative nature, always have been, always will be. I think it's in your DNA when you actually start down this road. I think every decorator that is a true decorator, not necessarily somebody that runs, let's say, a big decorating business, that's more spreadsheets and numbers, but the guys actually, with the brush and roller in their hand, require a level of self-gratification. You need that personal glow, you need that kind of that little bit of a hit where you actually do something, put a little bit of yourself into it and pull it out. And then when you get that from a customer, it's a little bit of a boost. I mean, getting paid is nice, but getting that boost is also good. What about negative of being a decorator? What was the negative of that?
The negative was, I suppose it's more of a physical side. because of my background in the Air Force, I developed and have developed a bad back, bad knees. And then when you're going into general decorating, as you know yourself, you're on your knees a lot, you're bending down a lot. So it doesn't help, you know, it doesn't do your body any good at all. So if there's any youngsters listening, buy yourself some knee pads. You know, listen to us old ones.
The words of wisdom. I mean, I remember a few years ago, I actually bought one of the trolley wheels, and I got laughed at on social media about it. And do you know what? I'd be on site, and the amount of people that go, "Oh my God, what is that?" Fast forward 2 hours later, I can't find the bloody thing. Somebody, you know, you got somebody whizzing round on site with this thing. We've used them so many times. But you're right. Take some advice from the old ones. If you're actually going to be in a labor-based industry like what we do, yeah, you're going to be spending a lot of time on your knees if you're not careful. Probably more so than, I suppose, floor fitters at times.
Yeah.
So bearing that in mind, one of the negatives there was the fact that this industry takes its toll physically on your body, your joints, your back, your knees. For me, it took a very bad toll on my neck. I remember many years ago working in Saudi. We were working for the royal family. I was gilding a ceiling, and we'd been over there for a few months, and one day my neck just went. And even, you know, fast forward 20 odd years now, it still plays up.
Yeah.
It still plays up. So obviously, let's look at the physical side. So, you know, why did you decide to, I don't know, get involved with spraying? You're just that interest level. What was the interest? Why did you suddenly look at it and think, that might be something that I want to get involved in? What was it that made you want to actually take on, let's say, the sprayer's journey?
Good question. I think I've been on Spray Makes Sense for, I don't know how many years, a long time. And I didn't know anything about spraying. But as soon as I saw the group, what's this all about? And didn't know anything really about spraying, you know, apart from car spraying, that sort of thing. Never done it before. And I saw a couple of videos and I thought, that looks good. That looks cool. And it piqued my interest, and I wanted to learn more and more. But again, didn't have the courage to go into it and ask questions. I was more someone that was just sat in the background, just watching. And yeah.
So what was it that enticed you? I mean, when you were watching, because obviously, like you say, let's say you stumbled across Spray Makes Sense, and then realized that, hang on a minute, this is decorator based, and I didn't realize that this was even an option. So when you came in Spray Makes Sense and you sat at the back and just watched like a lot of people do, what was it that actually, I suppose, flicked a switch and got you enticed into thinking, hang on a minute, if they're doing it, I could do it? But what was the one thing that, if you could say, what was the one thing that enticed you to actually consider and, I suppose, make a bit of a leap into the sprayers world?
It was, I was just about to start decorating a flat, and there was 10 doors, 10 flat panel doors to do within the flat. And I'd seen a couple of videos on the group with people spraying doors. I thought, that's going to be a time saver. So I bought myself a sprayer, just a cheap, what they call it, Eroba, is it? Eroba?
Oh,
Erbauer, yes, that's it. Yep. Bought one of them, just a cheap HVLP, and I thought, it looks easy, I'll give it a go. And
was it?
Yeah, no. I tried for about, I didn't do any research, my own fault. I tried for half a day to try and get it right, and I wasted all the paint, and went back to brush and roll and forgot about it. And then 6 months later, again, just sitting in the background, I thought, you know what, I've got to learn more about this, because people are saying the speed, the time, the profits. And that's when I booked my first course.
So you had a Erbauer when you first came to do one of the training courses.
Yeah, but it was only sat in the garage doing nothing, gathering dust. I actually, when I came to do the course, I was that determined to make it work. I'd gone out and bought a GX21.
Oh, okay. So did you buy the GX, sorry, before the course or after the course?
The GX I bought before the course.
Oh, okay. Had you used it before actually doing the?
No.
So how long did you have it sat in a box before you actually got it out of the box, let's say? Days, weeks, longer?
As soon as I got it, it was out of the box.
Oh, okay.
Just to have a look at it, that was all. But because I didn't know anything about the sprayer, about spraying, or literally nothing about it. I thought, I'm not going to touch it. I don't, it's a good part of £1,000 that I've just spent. I don't want to wreck it.
Well, sorry, it just spurs me on to, because it's like a common theme that I hear a lot. You bought the machine, you've invested heavily in that. I mean, if you think about it all right, here's another question that just pinged into mind. Considering the fact that you've just invested £1,000 in a machine that you've never used, don't know how to use, and with your past experience with the Erbauer, wasn't particularly great and was prone with a lot of problems. What was the other most expensive thing that you've actually bought within your business before that sprayer?
Good question.
Merca, maybe? Was that before or after?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it would have been the Merca. Yeah. No, not a Merca, Festool.
Okay.
Festool.
And so even that Festool back in the day when you got that, I mean, that was a big chunk of money compared to the fact that we were buying, let's say, Bosch sanders and, DIY sanders for, 30, 40, 50 quid.
Yeah. Yeah. It was, to buy that, it was, again, yes, I could have bought the Bosch sander, like say, for 30, 40 quid, but you didn't have the extraction with that. So you're still doing an awful lot of cleaning up once you've sanded. So that's the reason why I went the Festool route or the Merca route, whichever you go. Yeah. Purely because the dustless route, purely because seeing what results people were getting.
Did you feel at that point that I mean, for me, that was probably one of the biggest tipping points, and taking spraying out of the equation, for me, that was a tipping point within our industry when people were actually starting to say, look, I am prepared to invest. And I mean, the investment back then, even now with an extractor and a sander, isn't is expensive. It is an investment. But I felt that's when I actually felt that the industry was doing a little bit of a turn, and we were starting to take ourselves, in one way, I suppose, a little bit more serious, because we were starting to invest a lot higher within that. So you've got the dustless setup, you've bought a GX, just shy of £1,000 with all the kit and everything else, all the gear, no idea, as we did. I've been there. I can only relate to I won't even bore you with the nightmares we went through. Why did you decide to do training? And that's probably a question I've never asked you before. Why did you decide, and how did you find PaintTech? How did you find us?
Well, I found PaintTech through Spray Makes Sense.
Okay.
Didn't realise it was PaintTech that sort of runs Spray Makes Sense, if you like. So it was one afternoon suddenly putting two and two together. Oh right, okay. The reason I'd done the training was you see it on the group an awful lot. A lot of the time, people are asking about training, and other people say, "Well, just go on YouTube, have a look on YouTube. You can learn it all there." I've been spraying X amount of hundreds of years, and I've learned everything on YouTube. Yeah, you can, I suppose, but you're still going to make the mistakes. You're still going to, come full foul of something. So the best way that I've always, whenever I've got good results, is to get training face to face, not on the job, but actually picking the gun up and spraying, rather, with proper training, with someone on your back showing you what to do and how to do it, rather than watching someone, because watching someone on YouTube, you're just learning their mistakes, their bad habits, rather than getting taught the proper way of doing it.
To be fair, Trev, I think you come from a background of training. I mean, your whole career was based on training.
Yeah.
You know, so it was an easy transition for you. I mean, admittedly, probably your first few courses, you had to fund those yourself. And you know, even then, you know, the price of the courses that we were doing, they weren't cheap, because we were parting with a lot of information, and we had a lot of setup costs, and the value of what we gave, we believed that was worth the money that we did. Did you do the 1-day course, or was it a 2-day course when you first
2-day?
Right.
2-day.
Okay. So from that, you know, obviously you came and did the training. I got on your case. I did push your hand, bend your knee, and do all those aspects there. And I agree with YouTube. I mean, we still use YouTube a lot for obviously learning. I think it's great, but because we are involved in training, I do a lot of training myself, because again, I think it fast tracks the process. And it cuts out, it allows you to obviously make less mistakes, have less frustration. You don't lose as much confidence, and you definitely don't lose as much money, that's for sure. So when you'd actually done the course, what did you start to do? So you left the course, did you jump straight in? Did you feel that you had the confidence jump straight in and the knowledge?
After the course, I went home, and well, in fact, you helped me set my sprayer up,
right,
on the course. But after the course, I went home and had a little bit of a play around at home, and put it to one side, because I knew there was a job coming up that was ideal for the sprayer. I wasn't confident enough to use it in a occupied home straight off. So I waited, I think it was a month, 2 at the most, for this job to come up, which was a 4-bedroom house, empty, and decorated top to bottom. And I sprayed everything apart from the final coat of the walls.
Okay, well, to be honest with you, I mean, that's exactly what we do. You know, was that because of I suppose the systems that we went through and we talked about and the benefits of? It wasn't a nerves thing. It wasn't it was purely the fact that the system that we taught you, that was the outcome, and you preferred to, I suppose, go down that road.
You know, you said about the system to use, so I thought, well, this is the ideal opportunity to try it, or not to try it, but to use the system. One, because it's an empty property, and 2, the client isn't around, so they're not going to see if I make any mistakes. Not that they'd really know if I made any mistakes, but they're not around. There's no one looking over my shoulder, sort of, which would bring in my nerves at the time. So yeah, and plus I had the confidence after the course. It gave me the confidence to be able to go into that environment and spray.
How did it go? I mean, what kind of problems did we come up? Was it like, you know, immediate success? Wow, this is incredible, or did it just fall flat on its arse a little bit at times?
I got through probably twice as much paint on the ceiling than I do now.
Yes.
Purely because my technique was all wrong. I walked away from one scene. I thought, how have I used that much paint? There's something, you know, I can, yes, I'm quicker, but this is going to get expensive. It's either going to get expensive for me or it's expensive for the clients, one of the two. But then, you know, I stepped back, had a look at what I'd done, what my setup was, and I was totally wrong. And when I'd adjusted that, it was flying. But you know, I still used more paint than I should have. But that's the learning curve.
To be honest with you, it's the price of doing business. The way we look at it is, My business or a decorator's business, if you break it down, is 70% labor, 30% material. When you get efficient, it can be 80-20. But although the increase in paint goes up, we say that it goes up on average 30%.
Yeah.
But like you said, the reason you got involved was because you realized that those doors, you could get them done a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And you were still charging the same money. So therefore, what happened was the labor side, the 70% equation, went up exponentially. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people that are probably, watching this video or listening to, this podcast will look at spraying and the fact that they know they're going to use more paint. And that is the price to doing business. The coverage is better. You get there quicker. The overall look is far better. The finish is more superior. And like you said before, the only reason, well, not the only reason, but one of the main reasons you should be doing it is because if you're running a business, it increases profit.
Yeah.
Without
if I would rather use 50 quid more paint to spray, and take me a day less, but I'm charging, the same money.
So you did that job. How long do you think it took you to actually, like you say, you changed the setup, you start to get familiar with it, you start to get your paint in play? How long do you reckon it was before you actually thought, yeah, I'm really starting to get to grips with this? I'm using it on most jobs. I'm getting a really good finish. How long do you reckon?
Not long, to be honest. I would say by probably my 4th job, I was on top of it. Because I kept records of everything, of what pressures I was at, what paint I was using, how much I was easing the paint down, if I had to ease it down. I was just making notes of everything. So I knew where I could adjust things to see if that made it better. And then as soon as I hit that sweet spot, that was it. I was, do not touch anything. Leave it like
if
that.
It's not broken, I love it. But seriously, let's talk about something that is broken. There's a payoff. So what was the payoff? What was the negative? What was, when you started actually, I suppose, leaving the roller and the brush a little bit more? I mean, we still use them. We're decorators, of course we do. But when you started actually putting the gun in your hand a lot more, what was the negative? What was the downside?
The money.
In what way?
The cost.
Right.
Because it soon mounts up. It's, you look at, my first machine, like I say, was a GX21. Great little machine, great little workhorse. But then you think, well, I need extensions for that now. Now I could do with a clean shot. I need tips, and a whip hose. You're talking there probably another 300, close to 300 quid on top of the price of the sprayer. And there's always something that you need. If I was just brush and rollering, I could go down to B&Q, pick up a roller for a £5, let's say.
Yeah.
Being on the gun all the time, I can't go to B&Q. I've got to order online for a new spray tip, which is 30 quid.
Yeah.
So, okay, the spray tip's going to last longer than a roller, but it's the prices do, they soon mount up.
They do. And you suddenly decide that you want to go out and buy a new sprayer, and you want to buy all more kit and everything else. So what spray are you running at the moment? Because you mentioned the fact that you started with the GX, but what is it using now then if you're not using a GX?
I've got a Tritech T4.
Okay, and how long have you had that?
That's got to be 2 years now.
So, all right, I'm trying to do some maths. How long did you have the GX before you upgraded, or not upgraded, but I suppose decided to purchase the T5?
That would be about 3 years.
Okay. Do you feel you got your money's worth out of the GX?
Oh, definitely. I was doing domestics and I've done a couple of kitchens with it. Well, don't know how many kitchens, but I've done kitchens with it as well. It's a good little all-rounder, and it definitely paid for itself easily.
Okay. So, the negative is obviously there is a cost factor, but I think when you start taking your business more seriously, the costs go up anyway. It's inevitable. Okay, so what was the upside? I mean, because clearly you've not gone the other way. You've not picked it up, well, you've had problems, of course you have, but those problems haven't been enough for you to say, right, it's going back in the garage. I've had enough of this bloody thing. So what's the upside? Why persevere with the spraying?
Well, the finish is far more superior than brush and roll.
Yeah.
The time saving, and what goes with time saving is the profits, because
yeah.
I can charge the same as I would brush and roll, but get the job done quicker.
Yeah.
Speed, which I suppose is time saving, and the enjoyment of it. As soon as I pick that gun up, I'm in my happy place. You know, I can be in the worst mood ever, but as soon as I pick the gun up, yeah, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what's happening around me, I'm happy.
It's really weird you say that I remember Burnsy saying to me, Liam said, it's really weird. He said, I spend all day masking, sanding, caulking, hoovering, wiping, preparing all day. He said, and the bit that pisses me off with spraying is it's never enough.
Yeah.
He said, because like you said, when I get in that happy place and I pick the gun up and the mask goes on and I get in that zone, because you do get in that zone, as soon as you pick up the gun, you go into this kind of spraying zone and everything just kind of slows down or speeds up, whichever way you look at it. And that's it. You like you say, I love how you say you're in your happy place, because I know exactly where you're coming from. It's one of those that there's just not enough of it. There's just not enough of the good bit. You spend all day prepping and everything else. You just, and Burnsley said, I actually try. He said it's virtually impossible to slow down with spraying, because you have to move at a certain rate. He said, but I really do try and slow it down. He said, I try and slow it down because I just want to enjoy it for longer. He said, that's probably the downside for me, is the fact that there's never quite enough time on the gun.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if we could swap round the time of all the prep and with the spraying time, I'd be happy with that. You know, I'd rather have a couple of hours prepping and all day spraying, you know, but you know. So
the spraying, and you've done a lot of training. I won't go into how much training, because you've done a lot of training now. You obviously see the value in it.
Yeah.
You're now able to access funding, obviously through the CITB, and that's helped your business, has it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Without the excuse me, without the sorry about that. Yes, without the funding from CITB, I'd still be able to do the training, but I wouldn't have been able to do it as quickly or maybe as much, you know, because it costs money. At the end of the day, it costs money. But yeah, the funding's been absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's moved my business along very quickly.
So again, your business is in a happy place. What is the future? Where are you heading? What kind of work do you want? And does the sprayer and the training play a part in that?
Yeah. So by the end of this year, I would say 80% of my work would have been just kitchens. Okay. I'm hoping by the end of next year, that's going to be 100% just kitchens. Yeah. Just kitchen resprays, which was my goal. Going back about 2 years ago, my goal was just to concentrate on kitchens. It's been a slow process, but it's getting there, you know. And I don't think I could have done that without the sprayer, because the speed again of being able to do a kitchen so quick. There's very little disruption for the clients at all. Whereas if I was brush and roller in it, there'd be more disruption for the client. As much as I can get a good finish with brush and roll, it's never as good as a sprayer. Never as good.
I agree. I've been painting kitchens now probably well over 20-25 years. We started out doing decorative finishes when it was all the rage on kitchens, all the patinas and everything else back in the day when I suppose the customer would even phone up and say, do you do rag rolling? We don't really call it that, but technically, yeah, we do. So we've done all that. Now my sons, they obviously work on KPN and focus on kitchens themselves as well. So obviously spraying has been a big change for your business. By all accounts, with the frustrations, the problems, it's positive, yes?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's still frustrations now. There's still problems now.
Yeah.
But I've gained the knowledge from the courses to be able to get over those frustrations and those problems. And there's always the group as well. Spray makes sense. If there's ever any problem, I can just put a question in there, and there's always someone around that's available to answer it. But mostly, yeah, brilliant.
Just to wrap up, I mean, absolutely 24 carat, Trev, absolutely 24 carat. Do you know what? You couldn't have come full circle if we hadn't have, even if we'd have tried this, and we didn't. Okay, this is straight off the cuff. Straight off the cuff. It's really weird because I've known you for a little while now, and you started out by getting involved with, let's say, the sprayers community. Spray makes sense.
Yeah.
It is a good group. We tried really hard to keep it that way. You have now become probably one of the main, I suppose, authorities on there. You're the guy. It's really weird that you said that. You just said, if you've got a problem, you go on Spray Makes Sense, ask the question, and you get the answers. Do you know what, Trev? You know, and I know that is completely reverse psychology now. Everybody's asking you for advice and help. You're the first person on Spray Makes Sense that if you can answer it, and you know you can, and you can bring value to somebody else, that's what I think. That's the biggest thing that I personally see from you and the journey that you've done, is learning and making all the mistakes and working through a lot of grief, because you do with this job. You know, decorating as a whole, spraying again just adds one more complication to it. But now you are the face and the voice of everything spray that is good. I just hope you carry on expanding, growing, learning, but also sharing, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You are the ultimate. If anybody could do what you do and everybody did what you did, life as a decorator would be a far better place for me. It really would. You know, you're the sharing type of fellow. You give unconditionally, and I think that is absolutely amazing. Trev, it's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. We'll be doing this again because there's so many more questions I've got in front of me that I never got an opportunity to ask. So hopefully we'll catch up, you know, in the next few months, and we'll do this again.
Brilliant.
Trev, thank you very much. Just give a little shout. Tell us who you are, what your company is, and where you work.
So I'm Trevor McMillan, company TM Decor, in the Cotswolds and in a beautiful village of Broadway.
Brilliant. Excellent. We will get that info out. Seriously, anybody who's listening to this, if you want any advice, you know, if you want any work doing, fantastic. But seriously, if you want advice, top tips, help, support, Trev's your man. Trev, brilliant. Absolutely love it. I can't thank you enough. Absolutely brilliant.
Absolute
Cheers again,
pleasure.
mate.
Cheers, Ian.
Cheers.